everyone, it's Joanna Gallup Phillips with Let's Talk About It and
Tammy Warner.
perfect. Nice. So I haven't seen you guys in a while, and it's going to be a short little. I say that mostly squirrel. Short little video podcast, and so here we go. As always, like, share, follow. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you.
Absolutely.
A couple of things. Planning board meeting tonight at 7 p.m. Tilden is on there. There also is on there someone that wants to do something with the New York State Trooper Barracks. So that's on there. What else did I see on there? Somebody wants to open a convenience store. So there's some fun things on the planning board docket tonight that I'll be looking at, listening
hmm
to, as well as Tilden projects. Um, just some stats from the public hearing. There was 14 for Tilden. There was 14 speakers in support, 9 opposed, 3 neutral. So it's kind of a 60-40 split. And of course, I said that to somebody and I got, well, not everyone that was opposed spoke. Well, not everyone that was for it spoke either. So,
Right.
I mean, we can twist that any way we want to twist it,
Yep.
but that's what happened.
Right.
Again, we are going to have a conversation at some point, not just about Tilden projects, some other things that are going on, and my opinion is that I think the planning board should have enough information that they should just make a determination one way or the other. I also believe that the current well that is on that property was considered a public water source because of the restaurants that were there for so many
hmm
years.
hmm
I don't know what that means with Department of Health because obviously there's a septic. Is there the two? I don't know, whatever. So we'll see what comes out of that. School budget passed last night, 68%. There was over,
Thank goodness.
I think there was 980 voters. I think that's what I put out last night. Huge turnout. When I went there at like quarter to one, it was super busy. Um, there's conflicting feelings about that.
There is, but bottom line, it's not the kids' fault that we are where we are with that situation. So why should they be the ones to suffer?
Yeah. I mean, again, that's what happens when you don't raise taxes
hmm hmm
or, raise the budget for so many years. And again, our fear is that that's where the town is headed as well. So,
Exactly.
so there, yeah, there is some conflicting feelings about that. And, one person said, I just closed the school, let them go to other schools. And, somebody had a good point. It's not that simple,
No.
right? The school, whatever schools these kids would be divided into, that school has to vote on it. And
Yep.
what voters of those people want to take on 400 students?
Right. Our kids are going to be dispersed everywhere. So all their friendships and things that they have built, again, it's not their fault. So it shouldn't be their responsibility to fix
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. It's,
We are the grown-ups.
are we?
Well, we're supposed to be the grown-ups.
Are we? I don't know.
And that's
So
right.
that passed by a pretty large margin. And speaking of voting, so thanks to everybody that came out, whether you voted for it or you voted against it, your vote does matter.
hmm
So, and there was a huge, actually, I think there was also a phone campaign. Um, People, including our town supervisor, not as her official capacity, she was in a different building. They had a phone campaign calling people to get them out to vote. Um, and I did hear that from quite a few people, asking me, "Did you get a phone call?" I'm like, no, I didn't get a phone call. I didn't get a phone call. But a lot of people are asking, well, how did they get my cell phone number? I'm like, I don't know the answer to that question. Some people got a
True.
text. So great, they got the vote out. Again, no matter how you voted, your vote matters,
Right.
and thank you for coming out. Berlin's also passed. For some reason, I was a little surprised about that, but Berlin did pass. So, speaking of voting, so there has been some conversation in regards to people that have multiple homes on where they can vote. It is 100% legal in the state of New York that you can register to vote here, even if you have a residence someplace else. So keep that in mind.
Hmm.
People do it all the time. I mean, the same thing that may have people that may have a residence in New York City. They can change their vote up to here.
Hmm.
Same thing if you're from New Jersey. You can change your vote up to here. I just want to clarify that. A lot of people don't like it, but it is what it is.
Right.
It is totally legal. Let's talk about the rec commission. Great news. It was recorded last night. Got to watch that. And so that was good. Um, Still maintenance going on the park. And of course, they're looking for volunteers. You
Yep.
can sign a waiver. There's even waivers for kids. I do believe that Councilmember uh, Patterson power washed part of the roof, maybe on the pavilion. So they've, again, it's weather specific on this roof thing. And as far as the floor goes, I don't know what they're gonna do with that. I don't know if they were planning on filling in the cracks, but
Correct. Right.
I'm not sure. But no matter what, I don't see any way that the floor is gonna be done because it needs a certain amount of time to set up. Park program is gonna be starting soon. Last number I got for the park program yesterday was they have 52 signed up. So much better than the 21, and I know that there's more that are signing up,
Hmm.
so that's good. I do need to get a hold of the park director because I want to get some snacks and some drinks and stuff donated to them. So there's that. The other thing that was the conversation was doing like a field day
I think that's a great idea for the
for
kids.
for the kids at the park. Sometime I think they said maybe September.
I
Uh,
think that's
the
a
the
fabulous idea.
Yeah. And there was, even with the communication committees meeting the other night, there was a lot of talk about getting kids involved. So this makes me happy. The question did come up in the rec commission meeting about, well, are we okay to do that? That might not be the exact verbiage. And we're going to talk about why verbiage matters here in a minute. That might not be the exact verbiage, but it was kind of like, well, is that an events committee thing or an us thing?
And there we go. I am all for this whole field day thing, and I am all for the recreation
Commission.
commission doing that. I'm just here to say yet again, the events committee is a useless committee. It should be dissolved. It is not needed. It is not needed at all. This is the first time I'm hearing of a commit this of actually something being said about the kids. The person that holds the events committee, it is strictly just about adult things and not
Mhm.
even adult things uh around everybody in the community. This is the first time I'm hearing something where it's concerned where the kids are. And it's nice to hear that because hello, the kids make up our community as well.
Well, they're the future of this community.
Exactly, exactly. So I'm all for that. And I am 100%. I think if control of the board ever, when and if it changes, because the events committee needs to be the first one that needs to gone. Gone. It's not needed. It's not needed, along with many other committees that are just not needed.
Well, when again, based on the town law, the rec commission should be here and the events committee should be
Mhm,
here. So
mhm.
I do not
Let's
agree.
be real. The events committee was invented because it was brought up that, they were not doing what they should have been doing when they were in the Recreation Commission, when they were the recreation. They weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing.
So here's the caveat to that, right? Because in that law, it says, oh, again, I forget the exact verbiage, that they can do those things, but it doesn't say they had to do those things.
Which things are you
Which
talking about?
so in the local law for the rec commission, it gives them the authority to do the things by law that the rec commission, including events, maintenance, being in charge of all the things. But the unfortunate thing about that law was it didn't say it was a requirement. So they had the
Okay.
option to do it or not
And
do
they
it.
opted to only do what was fun for them.
Right.
And they didn't do all the other things that need to be done.
Correct. And that is what the current rec commission is focusing on is because of all the rain we had, the chairperson said that there's some stuff that needs to be done on the walking trails. So it is proposed that the rec commission will be focusing on maintenance. But I was really glad to hear that they're doing a field day for
Yeah,
kids that they want to
I'm
do that.
excited. I'm excited about that. I think that's a great, great idea.
And I think
And
that they're planning
when you have
on
the kids, again, that's a whole community event. When you have the kids, you have their parents, you have the community. These are the things that are community, based, about
oriented. Yep.
bringing the community together,
Hmm.
not six people going on a hike.
So they're going to, I think they're also going to I don't know if they're going to put out, it was talked about, I don't know if they're going to do it, but, putting in a fundraiser bucket or whatever. And there is nothing wrong with the rec commission doing fundraising,
Nope, nope,
to be able to invest in whatever it is.
yep, absolutely.
So I think that's an amazing idea. So awesome to see that that was recorded last night. And looking forward to hearing more about the field day. And speaking of the kids, and I need to make a trip to the park to see this. I think it's called a walking book.
Oh, yes, I saw that. Yep.
Yeah. So the kids did a walking book in the park. I think they also did it at the school. I'm not positive. So super cool. But I'm glad to see that a lot of these, well, a lot, like the communication committee and the rec commission, they want to get the kids involved. Super stoked about that. And the communication committee, they had their meeting, I don't, one day this week. I'm not even sure what today is. So earlier this week. If yesterday was Tuesday, rec commission's meeting was last night, communication committee was Monday night. So that meeting, I think they've decided that they're going to do the communication forums quarterly,
Hmm.
which makes sense. Um, Stay tuned on that. So,
Look
all
at
right,
that. You're
so
so
let's talk about the town board meeting. Not a lot here to cover. We do want to talk about the executive session. Um, as you all know, if you watched it, I had to go into executive session with the town board
me.
as well as the chair of the comprehensive plan committee. I was unanimously, what's the word I'm looking for?
Voted.
The committee
Approved.
unanimously agreed to appoint me to the comprehensive plan committee, which was then kicked up to the town board to make that
Right.
appointment. So executive session, the executive session was about me in some questions, and I
Hmm.
knew that it was going to be about the social media policy, in which it was. And I was asked if I would be able to follow that policy. So there were a couple of things, in that social media policy that I guess I'll use the word not necessarily comfortable with because it's up for
Right.
interpretation. But so an example was given when we were talking about the rec commission not being recorded. There's was 5 meetings, only one has been recorded. And I made the comment of, it's starting to look a little sketchy, which depending on your interpretation of that word sketchy, could be implied that it's nefarious. So perhaps I should have said they've had 5 meetings, only one has been recorded. They're not following town policy. So, and then I'm not going to get into the whole thing, but so someone also brought up misinformation, and it had to do with and I totally agree. We don't want to give out
No,
misinformation.
we've said it. And we've even said if it's incorrect, let us know. We will correct it.
But then, and this was brought up, that it's not their job to watch our video to verify what we're saying is true. I get it, right? Long story short, I was asked if that I would try, if I could at least try, and I've committed to that, to at least trying. We don't want to put out misinformation. One of the things that was, brought up as misinformation, and, I started that conversation with, I could be wrong.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, and it was in regards to the community center. And I did miss a day of hours, and I was wrong about how often it used to be open. And so maybe I should have done a little more diligence on that. I get it. So here's my thing.
This is important.
This is important. I'm all for being held accountable for my words, but I have no responsibility to what Craig Skirkus says on Talk of the Town. I hold no responsibility for what the advocate says. I hold no responsibility for what Jim Dawson says in his Substack, The Independent.
Or
I'm
what I'd
all
even say.
I right. I mean, and I can't take responsibility for what Tammy says.
Exactly.
So I'm willing to be held accountable based on facts.
Side
So
note, but just know in all of this, nothing was brought up about misinformation or false information when it came to the financials.
correct. I do know that the auditor is still there. So I made the commitment to try, and I will try to be conscious. And again, like the word weird, I use that word a lot. People are taking that the wrong way. But here's the thing, and Tammy and I talked about this, I think, on the last podcast. And this was brought up, that there were two employees that work for the town. Somebody went and told them something that we said on the podcast
Yep.
that didn't happen. So, it's important if people are going to repeat information.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's sticky, but I have committed to try.
But we said from the very beginning, we want to be as, truthful and factual as possible. We've said that from the beginning, that we're only human though. There's going to be mistakes. Guess what? We all make some mistakes. But
Yeah,
there's a
and
big difference between making a mistake and what we've been talking about.
I mean, perhaps there's a little snark in there sometimes. Is it snark? I mean,
I'm sorry if, there's a little upheaval going on, but again, these are facts.
I don't, my opinion, some conversations are uncomfortable for people. It doesn't make them mean, it doesn't make them incorrect.
Hmm.
It's just not comfortable. And I respect that, right? I have uncomfortable conversations all the time. And it's humbling. So long story short, I did agree. I'm going to do the best I can. Um, but I'm going to say that the risk is that something that means something to me can be interpreted.
As far as factual, you know, we
We
also
try.
expect the same thing from that board.
Well,
And,
from anybody, from the committees, from the board, from anybody.
we expect the same thing, that we're getting factual information. And if what happened between the information that Peg has and the information that Tistria gave out is two completely different.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is an important issue. So personally, I feel that is our supervisor paying attention, because that's something that should have been addressed. You have somebody saying that the information that you gave out to the community is wrong and
Yeah.
their information is right. We need to know which is which. So this is where I believe the supervisor should step up in one way or another, whether it be through an email, something, and just say, I am aware of this situation. Is she right? Is she wrong? Which way are we going here?
So let's talk about that for a minute. So, and I have not seen it public. I'm not gonna lie, I did know, but I haven't seen it public, but it was posted in the Independent that the whole sewer thing is on pause because I think it's a July date is the first round of fund they had to have it done by this date in July to submit to funding, and they can't make those deadlines.
Uh-huh.
So then it bears the question of, we had this town board meeting where we've got to get this signed, we've got to get the paperwork signed for, to move the money and to hire this lawyer to do the petition. Henny penny, the sky is falling. Hurry, hurry,
Yeah,
hurry. We got to get this done. How did we not know about that date?
right.
Long story short, it is on pause, which kind of said it and I'd have to look again. I don't know if it was. I'm sure it was mentioned in the. Was that after the town board meeting? It was after the town board meeting. But what was said before the town board meeting was that the verbiage was wrong on the petition, and they were waiting to get that revised.
Hmm.
Pause on the sewer district. All right. Privilege of the floor. They switched back to kind of the old version that they can answer some people. If they don't know the answers, they'll get back to them. So that was good because it was a little awkward when you
Yeah,
could ask like, what's today's date? And they couldn't answer you. Feasibility study was tabled, but the first privilege of the floor, Mark Bonley spoke in regards to the sewer district. And one of the questions that he asked was, we're talking about, the Coons property to do the leach field, the big giant leach field. And Mark asked, and I put a lot of thought into this afterwards, do you have anything writing from Coons that they've agreed to let you buy the property, lease the property, or whatever? Have they committed to it? The answer to that was they've been spoken to. Mark's question was, well, how can you even
right.
create a district without a commitment from the property owner?
Exactly.
So then it was kind of like, well, you got to have the district to be able to get the property, but I would think that we would want at least a verbal commitment
Right.
to say, yeah, we're all on board for this. Now, I do know that somebody did talk to Lucas Coons, I believe,
Right.
and they said that they have not committed to anything because they have a
No.
lot of questions too. So I guess the confusing part to me is, and again, I guess the point is moot because it's on hold, but why would you put out the money and all the time involved in this if you don't at least have a verbal commitment on the property? Because if you don't get a commitment on that, then what?
Right. Well, it's kind of like the pharmacy.
Oh God.
You know, here's 40
Mm,
grand. Why commit the money if you're not going to guarantee that it's going to,
yeah. The engineer, so Paul McCrary. So here we talked a little bit about this last week. It has to do with the fire insurance money. Again, the insurance company submitted what they thought the numbers were to get things up to snuff. Highway supervisor is kind of like, and don't forget, he's got a contractor background. Was
hmm
kind of like, this isn't going to do it. So then it was mentioned you need to bring in somebody independent on your own to do it. And I think the last week I asked, I didn't know if the insurance company was going to pay for the engineering fees, which is like 30 something thousand dollars to, do this. And yes, apparently they did get in writing that the insurance company is going to pay for this. So that's awesome.
Right.
The potential problem is, it's going to take a while to get that report together and then put bid specs together for these things to go out to bid. And then, that's going to take, I think it was estimated 3 months. So now we're back into fall, winter weather
Uh-huh.
before any of this can start. They don't even have heat in there. I I don't know. So we'll wait and see what happens with that. The loader highway superintendent decided to let Andy Sandstrom, his bid go through on that. They're
Yep.
getting a new one. That's basically the highlights of the town board meeting, other than the last privilege of the floor. Two things came up in the privilege of the floor. Jim Carroll brought up the seniors budget and
Right.
how I think it's 2023. I don't have the dates ingrained. The numbers will be correct. The dates may not be, hypothetically. So 23, I think their budget was $10,000. Then it went up to no, it was $8,000. Their budget was $8,000. Then the next year it
Yep.
went up to $10,000. And then it went up to, 10.8. So it was like whatever the numbers were, it was 30% increase, 30% increase, and a 6% increase. That's a that's a lot.
Yes, it is.
So his point was, could you put a column on the budget, even, for the town board, so they can very easily look at that and go, well, why did that go up 40%? Or
Right.
so then they can ask those questions. And also he also asked to make it available so the townspeople can look at it and understand
hmm
it. I think that's an awesome idea.
Yep.
The answer to that was it would take too much space on the report, but it was also stated that is what the county does, and maybe they could do that for a working document. So we'll see how that all pans out. I think that's a great idea.
hmm
The other thing that was brought up in privilege of the floor along those lines with the budget, and I did get this last year, but I had to request it. I don't know if I had to make a FOIA request or if I just asked for it and I got it. I don't remember. Was what is all that big backup paperwork, the line by line items of what each department wanted?
Right.
So, you know, privilege of the floor, Mr. Modine asked if they could just include that.
Right.
Why not? I mean, it was a lot of pages. It's a big file, but you could actually see line by line by line by line what
Right. Right. What
what
the,
each
yep.
department asked for,
And
what they
for
did
what?
get. Yeah. So I totally agree with that. So some good things came out of that for the backup paperwork. So yeah, it was a very short meeting.
hmm
Nothing traumatic or scary. So they are having a special meeting on the 22nd, I believe. And I do believe it's a voucher for the new piece of equipment for the playground.
Okay.
Um, and whatever else comes up between now and then. And that's all I got.
That's it. The
That's it.
playground is moving forward. They installed the new piece of equipment, which is handicap accessible. It actually looks like a fun piece of equipment too. It's a nice big thing. It reminds me of when you used to go to the fair, like the cup seats you used to sit in that kind of cup over you and they spin. They look, it reminds me of that.
The tilt-a-whirl. The tilt-a-whirl.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
somebody told me yesterday it looks like a sofa, a love seat.
Oh, but and now I have two 18-wheelers sitting in front of my house all morning, and I don't know what for, but I'm assuming maybe something to do with, I don't know. But
Right?
there they sit.
Hopefully not blocking your driveway so Jeremy can get
Jeremy
in.
will be home soon, so
And that's all we got for today. We will see you next week. Always curious to see what that conversation will be, but we'll figure it out as we go.
have a great weekend, everyone.
Enjoy. Have a great weekend. And thank you. Bye.